My name is Charles Marty Pants King Jr. I want to start out with a prayer. Almighty and merciful Father, we come to you as humbly as we can, and we're asking that you make us thirsty for your word and make the presence of the Holy Spirit come upon us and bless this organization and all the organizations that working with children and that are your children. In Jesus' name, amen. We welcome you to the Ask for More October Lunch Bunch in this community, the community forum. And the lunch bunch, normally we meet on the first Wednesday of every month from 11:30 until 1 o'clock. We invite you to join us and bring your friends. Ask for More. We also know that Parents for Public Schools of Jackson was founded in Jackson in 1989. Our mission is to engage communities to advocate for and affect change in the public education. We envision quality public education for all children. Ask for More Jackson has adopted the philosophy of Ubuntu. Anybody? Ubuntu is a philosophy of African tribe that can be summed up as I am because we are. Today we welcome Dr. Michael Cormack, Chief of Staff of Jackson Public School District. And we'd like Ms. Gardner to come and introduce our guest speaker for today, please.
I'm Gwen Gardner. I am the Interim Executive Director for Ask for More Jackson, and I want to thank you all for coming out to support us in JPS. JPS is dear to my heart, so whenever we can do anything to promote JPS, we're all in. Dr. Michael Cormack is the Chief of Staff for Jackson Public Schools. In his role, he develops and executes the district's strategic plan, Excellence for All. He also manages the work of several key departments, including public engagement, state and federal programs, data and accountability, and human resources. Prior to his work in JPS, Dr. Cormack served as the Chief Executive Officer of the Barksdale Reading Institute, a statewide organization dedicated to improving literacy and teacher development outcomes in Mississippi. Additionally, Dr. Cormack served as the principal of Quitman County Elementary Schools in the Mississippi Delta. Working as a team, this district, the teachers, students, and parents have dramatically raised student achievement at the school from an at risk of failing school to a successful school. Dr. Cormack has also worked as a classroom teacher and has served in a variety of staff roles with Teach for America Mississippi. He is also the voice for several education workout videos in the Move to Learn series, where he can be heard singing and rapping about the alphabet sounds and teaching children how to act in various situations. He holds a master's degree in education from Delta State University and Teachers College, Columbia University, and completed his doctorate in education leadership and policy at Vanderbilt. He was selected as a fellow of the prestigious America Achieves program, served as board member of Mississippi Alliance for Nonprofit and for the Mississippi Children's Museum, and a clinical assistant professor in education leadership at the University of Mississippi, where he teaches qualitative research methods and ethnical leadership in the hybrid ED program. He is married to fellow educator Krista Cormack, and they reside in Jackson, Mississippi with their two beautiful daughters, Kennedy 12 and Madison 11, and one handsome son, Maxwell, who is 6.
I am here to address our strategic plan, and the name of this presentation is Excellence for All. It is the name of our strategic plan, our 5-year plan for launching and moving our school district forward. And we're so excited to have partners like Ask for More Jackson engaged in this work. Our Jackson Public Schools vision statement is as follows. We want to work to prepare scholars to do three things: to achieve globally, to contribute locally, and to be fulfilled individually. I bring greetings from Dr. Green, but one of the things that he often says as he talks and reflects on the vision statement is that our education should animate our scholars not only just for their personal fulfillment, but with the great education that they receive, it should propel them to be a service to others. Additionally, our mission statement, which is also new, is a three-part focus, and it focuses on building an exceptional knowledge base for our students that builds on critical and relevant skill sets and embeds in them and imbues within them the necessary dispositions for great success. We want them to make an incredible mark on the community and to make a real difference. Many of you know, if we reflect back on just 18 or 2 years ago now, as we reflect on the district that was very near state takeover, we had some difficult times in which the community really rallied behind the district in support to say, maybe there's another way. And they settled on a third way option that really engaged the governor's office, the mayor's office, and then the Kellogg Foundation. And we're so appreciative of that third way. But the threat of state takeover, I think, really brought the energy together to create an additional sense of urgency about the work ahead. And as part of our journey, one of the things that we did and that many of the reports that we inherited coming in the door were conversations in all of our wards across the city in which we engage community, and maybe you were a part of any of those sessions where we really wanted to engage the community and to say, what is it that you aspire to for our scholars? And what is it that you value from public education? I know that Ask for More Jackson is all about making a commitment to public education and really redefining and thinking about what do we aspire to for all young people. And the vision and the name of our strategic plan, Excellence for All, was really born out of all of those community tours where we engaged community members and asked them, what do you aspire to for schools? And they said, we know exceptional young people, folks that have gone on to careers to be really excellent, to leave their mark in every aspect of endeavor, came from this system, from Jackson Public Schools. And we're really proud of that. But we also know that the reality of some of our most exceptional folks is not the lived experience of every student in the system. And so one of the things that we heard loud and clear from community is that we really want to lift excellence for all. We want that to be the expectation for all students, and that became our mantra and the name of the strategic plan. Additionally, we engaged and said, what are the things that you value for education? And our core values really came out of this process. So we've adopted 6 core values, which are equity, excellence, a growth mindset, relationships, relevance, and positive and respectful culture. Equity and excellence I've spoken to, and I think that they really serve as the foundation for all the work that we want to do. A growth mindset, which is really the belief that we can get better through hard work. And modeling that for our students and our work as adults in front of our scholars, that we get better, all of us, in the classroom, in any work or endeavor that we do, that if we commit ourselves behind a great vision and we put in the sweat equity, we can get better at it. And that really should animate and drive our work. We focus on relationships. Folks in the community told us about their favorite teachers, about a teacher maybe now retired, but that had an impact on generations of successive JPS students. They talked about that legacy and the importance of relationships and really driving students forward. We talked about relevance, and so relevance, really thinking about how in my work do I make a contribution to that mission and vision that we talked about, and understanding that our work and our studies really should drive us to make an impact. And then finally, positive and respectful culture. So what is the experience that we want for parents and families interacting with our schools? We want you to come in to feel respected, to feel safe, to feel like this is an environment where you can drop off your kids and know that they are going to be well loved and cared for, and that they're going to learn a lot. And that should be the universal experience no matter where you interface with the district. So be it a bus driver interaction, be it an interaction with a custodial worker in the cafeteria, with the teacher and principals, and then also with central office, that the positive and respectful culture should be one that really drives our work. We're very excited about our strategic plan and what we're calling commitments. We call them commitments and not just priorities because we are really committed to making certain that they are implemented. Commitment one is a strong start. Well, everybody said that with me, a strong start. Strong start. We know all the research suggests that if we can get our students earlier into the system, research about birth to 5 is conclusive in terms of brain development, language development. This is the time for us to really get a hold and capture students' interest and learning. And so we really are committed to a strong start. And we heard that in community engagements all around the city. Parents want high quality early childhood experiences. And what we have seen in our own district data is that students that start with us in pre-K, many of you are familiar with the third grade gate, that by the time they get to third grade, those students that start with us in pre-K outperform their classmates that might have benefited from another program or just been at home until they arrived in kindergarten. We can really lay an important foundation, so we're committed to offering preschool experience for every 4-year-old in Jackson. And we've looked at the data. We're currently offering about 600 pre-kindergarten seats district-wide, but we have entering kindergarten cohorts of about 1,800 to 2,000 kindergarten students. So we think through hard work and some strategic partnerships, we can expand and meet that unmet need of about 1,400 additional seats. We're now engaging in conversations with partners about how we make this happen to provide a strong start for all of our 4-year-olds. Secondly, we want to engage in innovative teaching and learning. The students are different these days. They have devices. Keeping their engagement over longer periods of time, it just requires different. And we can't just do worksheets. We've got to engage them with technology. We've got to innovate. We've got to think creative and outside the box. And so we have already engaged in doing some curricular reforms at elementary with really strong and rigorous programs that really excite our students about the joy of reading and of doing math. And one of the things that we see is a really a vital effort around innovative teaching and learning is thinking about how we can improve access to STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics program offerings, particularly at middle school where many of our students kind of check out, right? We know that middle school is a really tough time, and we want to keep our students engaged, not only just physically in the classroom, but mentally engaged in the classroom. We know that innovative teaching and learning opportunities are a real important bridge. We have a number of partners who say, we have programs and offerings in robotics and coding and other initiatives that I think can be very exciting and that we want to lift as we think about ways to engage students. Our third commitment, and this is one that I am deeply engaged in this work, is talented and empowered teams. The idea of Team JPS is real. I have colleagues that are here that came to support. We work together. We're working to really model the culture of being empowered and empowered to do the work to lift this work in the strategic plan. But an important part of this is we want to build a world-class professional development center because just like I mentioned with growth mindset, we all can learn and grow. We all can learn and grow into being better for our scholars. And so it's so important that we're committed to our own professional development and we model that. We have a number of shuttered buildings in the district, and what we want to do is to repurpose one of those properties in order to create this innovative teaching and learning center. And we've got some incredible assets. We've got a number of national board certified teachers. We have a number of retired educators that want to come back and help us to engage. About 40% of our workforce is novice. Our teacher workforce is novice. They need development and support to get better at their craft, and that's going to help us to retain talented teachers. So really critical work to be lifted here. And we're also engaged in partnerships here as well with university partners to provide for our critical shortage areas, which are mathematics and special education. And so just last week we had 2 college, university partnerships that we launched. And it was amazing to sit in the boardroom with some of our assistant teachers in special education. I get a little emotional because I have folks come up to me and they said, I feel seen. This is going to be real valuable to us. We have 82 assistant teachers working with our students with special needs in the district. It's a critical shortage for us. And a number of them have bachelor's degrees. And do you know what an assistant teacher makes in the state of Mississippi? $14,000. The state minimum threshold is $13,500. Many of them single parents, many of them working full-time all day and then working a second part-time job in the evening with children. It is unconscionable that we can't do more and that we can't lift that, but we have a number of them that have bachelor's degrees and that with the right supports to help them pass the certification exams could be teachers. And a beginning teacher makes $38,000 in our district. So imagine being able to take folks in a few months' time from $13,500 to $38,000. That's a game changer. That's transformative. And those are folks that have been working in our district, caring for young people, working with special needs students for years. And they're committed and they will stay and they will continue to have an impact, but they'll have an impact and be able to stay because of the commitment that we are making and investing. And then joyful learning environments. So I don't know about you, but I like to go to work into a place that I enjoy, where I have a good time, where I can get the work done, where we can work hard and play hard, and that those can be aligned and work together. Dr. Green says all the time that safety is but the floor. It's the foundation on which we build all of the other things. And so we want students engaged and we want a joyful learning environment where our parents and families feel welcome in schools and where we can build out that culture where folks are deeply engaged in the work. We don't have to send out a truant officer to the home. Instead, we have students that are excited about coming to school because that's how we continue to improve our performance. And then finally, a commitment, a culture of accountability and excellence. And this is really vital. We're working to build a performance management system so that every member of Team JPS understands how their role commits to the larger and broader vision that we talked about of scholars that are able to have an impact locally, that contribute globally, and that are personally fulfilled. Everybody has to have a seat at the table and be a part of that work. And so we know that sometimes accountability gets a bad rub. And another word we might think about is responsibility. We have a responsibility to educate and to understand our role and our impact toward the mission and vision of our district. We've got important work, and it's a 5-year plan because some of this work is going to take time. So not everything that's been lifted as a commitment is going to be done overnight. And in the implementation guides, as part of the strategic plan, we tell you, this is what you can expect in this school year, 1920. This is what we'll implement and lift in 2021, and so on and so forth, so that over the course of that 5 years, we can really accomplish each of these things that we have committed to and committed to in a deep way. You may have heard in the news, we also have good news to celebrate. So due to all of the hard work of our team members, our students and scholars, parents and families, working together, we have improved the district's accountability rating. We have been failing for 4 years and we're up a letter grade. And that, I think, is an amazing accomplishment. And it's just the beginning. The best is yet to come because of the team that we have built, the members on our team, the others that are joining us to do this important and impactful work for our scholars. Finally, on the back side of your sheet, you'll notice an important aspect that we are lifting, which is called our JPS Profile of a Graduate. We're really excited about this work in which we lift important 21st century skills and competencies that we want to be true for all of the graduates of Jackson Public Schools. So we are lifting content mastery and digital literacy, communication and critical thinking, and collaboration and citizenship. Many of you will have this experience. It's not just about how smart you are, it's about your ability to work with others. We know that that's an important and critical skill set. And so communication is really important, the ability to solve problems in collaboration with others. Very seldom, if our students, when they go on to college, will they have just individual work? A lot of the work is based in projects. And if you haven't navigated a project in high school, you're going to be ill-equipped to tackle that kind of collaborative work, not only in college, but then in your career, because much of our work is just people-oriented. We've got to interact with people. We've got to be able to solve problems, got to be able to collaborate, have an idea, and engage in the give and take and the feedback. So these are some skills that we're trying to lift. And I also want to talk about one in particular, which is that of citizenship. We want our students, our graduates, to be registered voters. We want them to be engaged in the political process, to know about the levers of power in their local, state, and national government, and feel a sense of responsibility to be informed voters. We think that's an important thing for us to lift, and that we can actually measure and support them in doing.
How do y'all going to engage community groups like Young Life or church groups? How y'all going to involve churches in y'all planning and working together with y'all, right? Parachurch.
In our profile for JPS graduate, one of the things that we talk about is them being civically engaged. We think that our churches, our faith organizations are vital to having a full life as an adult. And that's an important part of the experience. And so we're developing some qualitative metrics to be able to see to what extent our students are engaged in that process. But we'll continue to have community meetings. We've made a commitment that at the end of each semester interval, we're going to touch base on our progress toward the strategic plan and make certain that community is invited and engaged in that conversation. We also address it in a bit of the out-of-school partnerships. We know that we can't do this work alone as a school system, that it is vital that our faith organizations and engage in that work. And a lot of that work is ongoing. So we want to continue to be in conversation with you about the work that you're doing, successes you're having, to be able to continue and to make certain that every scholar has an opportunity for an out-of-school opportunity.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the critical thinking skills of the students, what that looks like?
So one of the things that we launched at the start of this year, but had conversations where we engaged teachers, interventionists, principals, et cetera, was really around cementing the ability to read and to read well. And that's not just the ability to decode the words, but to be able to comprehend what students read. And to be able to lift and model in our curricular choice program books and literature that allows our students to engage in that kind of thinking. So the curricular adoption that we just engage in for our kindergarten through 5th grade is a program called Wit and Wisdom. One of the benefits of this program is not a traditional basal, so they don't get a big textbook with a lot of excerpted stories. Students are actually reading chapter books. They're engaging in literature circle. The students learn Socratic seminar in the early grades, and so the levels of engagement that we've seen have been really phenomenal. But it's a paradigm shift. It's a big shift for some of our educators, but it's also, I think, allowed us to have some critical conversations about expectations, about what we expect for students. And so one of the requirements of the program is that they speak in complete sentences, that they actually articulate a complete thought. So it's not just, we're not going to ask a question that has a one-word answer. It's forcing teachers to require students to answer in a complete sentence. For part of the way that they reinforce the collaboration bit is that if you have an idea that I agree with, we are teaching students what's called accountable talk. So there's a stem that they repeat. I'd like to add to what Stephen said and say that, or I agree with such and such because. And that is training them to think and to make clear, to articulate what's going on in their mind and how they're building on a comment. And so I think the adopting smart programs that embed that kind of rich thinking and collaborative piece is really important. But it's not just for the students. It's upping our game as educators, because in order to get that kind of output from students, you have to model speaking in complete sentences and model your thinking. Oh, when I read this, I thought of such and such. Who else had a similar thought? So it's a different way of teaching. There's been some veteran educators that have taken it and run with it. But a lot of the folks that are most receptive to it are the folks that they're coming into teaching with this as their orientation. And it's been really exciting to see that. And so adopting programs that embed it is a short answer, but I have many other things that I could share with you that I think are going to help push that conversation along.
And also skill sets development for the students going forward. Let's say students that have determined that they do not want to go to college.
So we've got our academies model that is in our high schools where those academies have a focus. And so, for instance, at Provine, one of the programs is they host Hope Credit Union. We have a standalone credit union where they're learning tangible skill sets. Those students that work as part of internship and get credit as part of that are learning money management skills. They're learning the ability of customer service and things that they can turnkey into internships, into college, or should they not go on to post-secondary, we're encouraging all students to go into some post-secondary track, whether it leads to certification, an associate's degree, or bachelor's, but they can gain and be ready for workforce. We also have a career development center, which is located near in that Provine complex. And they're doing fantastic work to teach students skilled trades that lead to certification so that, meaning if you ever hired a plumber, you know, those are real growth opportunities, and they're things that are going to be in high demand that you don't need a college degree to do, but that can add value. And so we do have a holistic vision. While we know that for many of our students, what we want to do as a district is provide for the opportunity for students to make their best choice and to align with a career that's going to allow them to live into their full potential and to their God-given potential and gifts and talents. So the Career Development Center is huge. My own child, I have an 8th grader at Bailey, and one of the things that she's interested in, she loves to cook. And we have a culinary arts program at the CDC that all of our 7 high schools can participate in and receive transportation to during the day so that they can learn a supplementary skill set. And while my daughter will likely be on a college track, she's really interested in that too. So there's the merger of being able to do something with your hands, to be able to create something, with also developing the business mind to be able to put those things together, to be an entrepreneur. So we want to definitely merge those critical competencies.
The presentation has been amazing. I just want to say thank you, and thank you to the district, and congratulations on your improvements. What I've observed in the school districts would be the low participation of parents. So I didn't or don't know if you got some type of collaboration or tool to encourage parents to be more involved with what we've got.
So we see that as vital. Our state and federal programs team is well represented. We have an office that supports the work of parents, and we have parent liaison, a parent center. We have got a robust set of supports around that we're looking to engage parents. We know that our schools that are most successful, specifically in transforming their success, engage their families and communities. And so what we want to do is actually want to learn from those schools that are having success and being able to move the bar. Through our state and federal programs funding, we're actually able to set up some resource centers. Let me say specifically this year, we have set up and we are setting up in our 12 middle schools parenting centers. In each of those middle schools, we selected the middle schools because they're geographically located, and that often if you have a middle schooler, you might have elementary and high students as well. Or that they're close enough and proximate for folks to be able to access resources, tangible resources, things like school uniforms and support around those kinds of things, but then also just other resources about how to assist at home. What we have is we have parents that want to know how they can help, and so part of our job is to make certain that the support is there around the various things that they can do to help support achievement at home.
One additional thing though, in 2008, working with voter registration, we actually went to Meridian to register the high schools there, and the principal welcomed me into her office, and one thing that really just excited me was the fact that she said all her high school graduates get their diploma after they show her their voter registration card. So she wanted to be very, and I like you all including that into your curriculum. Our young people need to be aware.
So at our last board meeting, and I completely agree with the sentiment, we think that it's important that our students be civically engaged. At our last board meeting, we had a presentation from Mississippi Votes, and they have a youth votes campaign. We had a competition to get students registered to vote, and we're going to be taking the tally at each of the high schools, but there was a special incentive offered around their homecoming, some additional support for, I think, their prom committees for those that registered the most of their senior class. And so we have to think strategically about how we support civic engagement. We need to make certain that in their U.S. history classes and in other opportunities, they have meaningful opportunities to learn about the process and to know how they can help to support change. Thank you all so much. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cormack.
With this book here, I think we're all born about like this. And if we don't obey God's will and obey things that we need to obey, our lives will be like this. But when we obey, then our lives can be like this. Thank you very much for coming out. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.